chapter 13, verse 122. Aiche Prabhu Sachi Gare Kripaya Kailavtare Ye Iha Kara Ye Shravana Gaura Prabhu Daya Maya Tandre Hayena Sadaya Se Paya Tanhara Charana. Translation. In this way, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, out of his causeless mercy, made his advent in the house of Sachi Devi. Lord Chaitanya is very merciful to anyone who hears this narration of his birth, and thus such a person attains the lotus feet of the Lord. So today, I thought that we could go deep into this pastime of Jagannath Misra Festival from a book called Chaitanya Chandrodaya Nataka. So Nataka means play. Chandra Udaya means the rising of Lord Chaitanya moon, the moon of Lord Chaitanya's rising. And this is from Kavi Karnapura, who is the son of Shivananda Sen, who is a close associate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So how the moon of Lord Chaitanya rose is what this Chaitanya Chandrodaya Nataka means. So let's proceed. So the life and pastimes of Lord Chaitanya are mentioned in many different books, like the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Bhagavat, and Chaitanya Mangal. Of course, we know Chaitanya Charitamrita was written by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, Chaitanya Bhagavat by Vrindavan Das Thakur, and Chaitanya Mangal by Lochan Das Thakur. So today we will discuss from Chaitanya Chandrodaya Nataka. As I said, Nataka is a play. So we'll zoom into this play, which talks about this particular pastime of Jagannath Misra Festival. So this particular play depicts the discussion between Kali and Adharma. So you might wonder, who is Adharma? Adharma is irreligiosity, irreligion. So Adharma in this age is Kali's assistant. So Kali reigns supreme through Adharma. So what does this mean? So when people become adharmic, they come under the influence of Kali in this age. So one of Lord Chaitanya's missions is to protect the people of this world from the influence of Kali and demonstrate how to overcome the effects of Kali. And that is what we will discuss through this wonderful pastime. So let's start by zooming in on these two characters, Kali and Adharma, and let's see what they're discussing just before the birth of Lord Chaitanya. So here we have Kali on one side and Adharma on the other side. Kali is saying, I reign supreme here, ha ha ha, I am the king of this Kaliyuga, and no one can defeat me. And then after Lord Chaitanya appears, he immediately starts worrying. He starts saying, oh no, I'm defeated, I'm ruined. He starts really becoming fearful. Adharma, on the other hand, is trying to console Kali. Adharma is saying, come on, you're the king. Who can defeat you in this Kali Yuga? Kali responds, don't you know, Adharma? In Navadvip, a young Brahmana boy has appeared. His name is Nimai, don't you know? So Adharma responds, you have many great sages that you have made them fall down. What can a small boy like Nimai do? Many, many great sages, many kings, you have made them fall down. So a small boy like Nimai, what can he do? Adharma says. So for that, Kali responds, he is the Lord of all lords. He's Deva Deva. Don't you know? Then Adharma responds, don't worry, Kali. We have 4 great agents: lust, anger, greed, and pride. Through these 4 agents, we can pull down anyone. We can make anyone fall down. Don't worry. This boy cannot do anything. So this is the discussion that they're having when everyone in Navadvip are very, very joyfully celebrating the Jagannath Misra Festival. So as we have heard, the demigods also appear in different guises as human beings just to take darshan of the beautiful Nimai. And there's lots of gifts upon gifts coming upon, getting showered in the house of Jagannath Misra. Jagannath Misra is redistributing some of those gifts, and he's also giving out whatever gifts he has in his home. So it's a very, very joyful occasion, and everyone in Navadvip is feeling fearless. And why is this? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's one of his missions is Kali-bhaya nashana. He destroys the fear that exists in this Kaliyuga. Okay. So, but only one person is very fearful at this point, and that person is Kali. So let's proceed. I'll just talk a little bit about the characteristics of Kaliyuga. So in this age of Kaliyuga, our hearts are longing for HEA movie. What is HEA movie? It's happily ever after. We're all longing for being happy, and we want to be happy eternally. But is that possible? This world is called Dukkhalayam Ashashvatam. Immediately as soon as we are born, we have a stamp saying that this world is Dukkhalayam Ashashvatam. What does Dukkhalayam means? Dukkhalayam means unhappy or misery, and Ashashvatam means temporary, exactly opposite of what we are longing for. We are longing to be happy, and we are longing for eternal happiness, but there's a stamp which is exactly the opposite. Dukkhalayam and Ashashvatam. Temporary is the exact opposite of ever after. So our heart's longing is so innate to us, and yet its ultimate frustration is so inevitable in this world. This longing is so innate. We all want this. We all want to be happy. We all want to be happy eternally. So let's take an example. Let's say we find a golden earring in a room where there is no gold at all. Immediately we start to question, where is this golden earring coming from? Where is this coming from? So where is this heart's longing coming from? It is definitely not coming from matter. It is coming from something more deeper. So for example, if it were to be matter, everything around us is temporary. And even like the sense objects are temporary, even our senses are temporary, even the connection between the senses and sense objects is temporary. So where is this longing coming from to be happy eternally? It is coming from the soul. So the soul wants to be eternally happy by establishing an eternal connection with Krishna. Who is eternal? Krishna is eternal, the soul is eternal, and the connection is also eternal. Also, in this age of Kali, there are three important characteristics. Everyone is bound by raga, which is attachment, bhaya, which is fear, and krodha, which is anger. So, what is the problem with these three things? So, attachment, fear, and anger prevent us from experiencing the fullness of devotion. These are three big obstacles. How is that? How is it the attachment, fear, and anger, three big obstacles? Because in each of these things, our consciousness is misdirected. Let's take one at a time. Let's take attachment. If we are attached to a particular desire, then our consciousness is filled with that desire. You're always thinking about that thing. If we are fearful, then our consciousness gets completely filled about, oh, when will I get attacked? When will that particular thing happen? For example, right now, we are all fearful of this pandemic. And if we talk to anybody, they start talking about the pandemic, about the vaccines. The consciousness is filled about this fear. And then there is anger. If your consciousness is filled with anger, then you're always thinking about how can I control this person? How can I attack this person? And so on. So these three things, raga, bhaya, and krodha, are actually big obstacles from experiencing the fullness of devotion. So also in this age of Kali, this is a place of deception. things are not as they appear to be in this age. So in Bhagavad Gita 4:10, Krishna says, Vita raga bhaya krodha manmaya mam upashritaha. So what he's saying is, being freed from attachment, fear, and anger, be fully absorbed in me and taking refuge in me, many persons in the past became purified by knowledge of me, and thus they all attained transcendental love for me. So, one of the missions of Lord Chaitanya is to free us from attachment, fear, and anger. And that is why it is Kaliyuga pavana, Kali-bhaya nashana. Kaliyuga pavana means purifies everyone in this age of Kali, and Kali-bhaya nashana is destroys the fear of everyone in the age of Kali. As I mentioned, on this particular day, Jagannath Misra Festival, everyone in Navadvip was feeling fearless. So Lord Chaitanya appeared not to establish his divinity, but to teach us how to be a devotee. He actually demonstrated how one can be a devotee, how one can practice bhakti. So some teachers, my profession is teaching, so some teachers just come and teach like a sage on the stage, but the better teachers, the good teachers, actually demonstrate. So Lord Chaitanya demonstrates how to practice bhakti, how to be a devotee, and so on. So instead of being a sage on the stage, it's better to be a guide on the side. And this is a common phrase that we use in teaching, where it's better to demonstrate and show our students what to do. And this is exactly what Lord Chaitanya is doing. He's actually demonstrating how we can be a good devotee, how we can practice bhakti, and so on. So let's continue on with this wonderful discussion that's going on between Kali and Adharma. So Adharma continues, you have pulled down many great sages. What can the small boy Nimai do? So Kali responds, Adharma, I'm really worried. He is the Lord of all lords. I'm ruined, I'm destroyed, I'm defeated. Adharma responds, No, don't worry. I don't think he's the Supreme Lord. Don't you know? The Lord is Triyugi. So Triyugi means he's born in the three yugas, the Satya Yuga, the Treta Yuga, and the Dwapar Yuga. So Adharma is convincing Kali that don't worry, he won't descend here. But what Adharma did not know is that a charitable person becomes more benevolent, more charitable in the need of a disaster. So the Adharma did not know was Lord is not just a law protector, but he's a benevolent, compassionate, loving father. So for example, if there is a material disaster like the tsunami, and if we have a charitable person, he tends to become more charitable in the need of the hour. Similarly, the Lord, who is actually extremely merciful, in the case of a spiritual disaster like the Kaliyuga, he becomes even more merciful. He becomes even more benevolent. And that is why he comes here not as a divine power, but he comes here as a devotee, just to demonstrate how we can practice bhakti, how we can be a devotee, and so on. So now, let's see how Kali tried to attack Nimai through these four agents of his. The four agents, as we discussed, are greed, lust, anger, and pride. So let's take it one by one. So Nimai Pandit, when he was a small boy, as we know, the Lord appears, he attracts us based on the needs of the time. So in that particular time in Navadvip, Brahmanical scholarship was very attractive. Everyone wanted to be a Brahmin scholar. And Navadvip was the capital of Brahmanical scholarship. And that is where our dear Lord took birth. So, and not only that, he became the topmost scholar at a very young age of 14 years. just at the age of 14, when other kids his age were going to school, he became the topmost scholar in the capital of Brahminical scholarship. He was not just a scholar, he started his own school. He started his own school, and he had many disciples also, just at a very, very small, young age of 14. So at this point, what happened was, because he became a scholar, wherever he went, everyone showered gifts upon him. So he had the opportunity of becoming fabulously wealthy just by teaching. Now, Kali is getting excited looking at this. Kali is thinking, okay, here is our first trap. Now this Nimai is going to get greedy and is going to forget his mission. Now, as we know, Brahmanas are not very wealthy. So when all these gifts and all this wealth was being showered upon Nimai because of his scholarship, Kali was getting very, very happy. Yes, this is what I want. And Kali started sending more and more people with more gifts. So Kali thought, I arranged for people to give so many gifts. And he also took these gifts. So Nimai is also taking these gifts. Now he'll get infatuated with wealth and he'll forget his mission against me. But Kali's happiness was short-lived, because whatever gift that Nimai Pandit got, he would just give away the gifts. He was not very attached to them. He was not allured by them. And this disappointed Kali. Kali thought, oh no, he's not getting allured at all. Let me try my other agent. Let me send my other agent of pride. And so let's see how Nimai handles the agent of pride. So Kali is saying, let me attack him now with pride. So here is the Leela of Keshav Kashmiri. Now Keshav Kashmiri was an amazing scholar, and it is said that goddess Saraswati actually manifested on his tongue, and no one could defeat him in debates or arguments. And of course, everybody was taking a back seat or missing in action, all the other scholars. So they kind of wanted Nimai to handle him. And Nimai did not want to shatter his pride. Nimai just wanted to transform him. Okay. So the Lord's purpose was not to shatter his pride, not to shatter the pride of Keshav Kashmiri. If he wanted to shatter the pride of Keshav Kashmiri, he could have asked for a public debate, and in front of everybody, he could have defeated Keshav Kashmiri, but he chose not to. He chose to meet him informally on the banks of the Ganges with just a few disciples of his and a few disciples of Keshav Kashmiri. And because it was an informal talk, and because they were on the banks of the Ganges, he asked Keshav Kashmiri, so that is Nimai asking Keshav Kashmiri, to say a few verses about the Ganges. And immediately, spontaneously, Keshav Kashmiri composed like 100 verses on the Ganges, spontaneously, without any effort. And Nimai was attentively hearing with a lot of respect. And then when Keshav Kashmiri asked him for some feedback, immediately Nimai chose a particular verse, verse 67, and then he started finding so many grammatical faults, so many grammatical errors in that particular verse. In fact, he also found a particular phrase, Bhavani Bhartu, where he proved that Sati was not actually chaste to Shiva. And with this one particular thing, Keshav Kashmiri was defeated. And Keshav Kashmiri left the scene with tears in his eyes. He went home and he started praying to Goddess Saraswati. He started telling her, you told me that I will never get defeated. You're supposed to manifest on my tongue. What happened? How did this small young boy defeat me? So in the dream, Goddess Saraswati appeared, and then she said, I have not broken my promise. The person you met today is not of this world. He is the Lord of my Lord. So what she was saying is, Saraswati's Lord is Brahma and Brahma's Lord is Krishna. So he's the Lord of my Lord. He's not a person of this world. I had promised you that no one of this world can defeat you. So when this was going on, when this pastime was going on, Kali was feeling happy. Kali was feeling that Nimai, being a small boy, has defeated a topmost scholar here. And definitely, this will make him proud. This will make him forget his mission against me. While he was thinking like this, what actually happened was Nimai not only became proud, that's why Nimai wanted to have this discussion informally on the banks of the Ganges. He did not want to shatter the pride. So he not only became proud, he did not even shatter the pride of Keshav Kashmiri. What did he do? He just transformed the heart of Keshav Kashmiri, and it is said that Keshav Kashmiri became a wonderful devotee after this pastime. He completely surrendered to Nimai and became a wonderful devotee. And this is what happens when the Lord appears. He destroys the demoniac tendencies in our heart. So Kali is now really worried. So Kali sent two agents. He sent pride and he sent greed. So he thought, let me send my third agent, which is lust. So now Nimai, at a very young age, he got married to this beautiful, chaste and cultured lady called Lakshmi Priya. And at that point, Kali is getting happy again. He said, now this Nimai is caught in worldly life and now he'll forget his mission. He's going to get completely caught in this lust. But what happened was that Nimai was unaffected. Kali gets more disturbed. And by the will of providence, when Lakshmi Priya actually gets bitten by a snake and passes away, Kali arranges everything so that Nimai would get married again. But even in the second case, even when Nimai was with Vishnu Priya, he still doesn't get disturbed at all. He's completely unaffected. So Kali says, oh no, even this agent of mine has failed. So there's one last agent that I want to really try now. And let's send the agent of anger and let's see how the Lord deals with that. And of course, this is the famous pastime of Jagai and Madai. So Lord Nityananda made a plan to deliver Jagai and Madai. I won't go into too much details of this pastime, as we have heard this many times. So in this particular pastime, Nityananda approaches Jagai and Madai and begs them to chant the holy names. He says, you're born in Navadvip. This is where Lord Chaitanya is. Please chant the holy names. You will be delivered in this lifetime. Madai, who was actually drunk at that time, he gets extremely furious. Who are you to instruct us? Who are you to tell us to chant the holy names? And in that fit of anger, he picks up the pot which had the liquor and he hurls it at Lord Nityananda. And it hits Lord Nityananda on the forehead, and there's a stream of blood that is flowing on Lord Nityananda's face. Several devotees run to Lord Chaitanya to inform of what happened. Lord Chaitanya appears there in no time, and then he calls out loudly, Chakra, Chakra, and the chakra appears, the blazing chakra appears. And now Lord Chaitanya is about to throw the chakra on Jagai and Madai. He wants to release the chakra. At that point, Kali is thinking, yes, here we go. My agent anger is doing his part. The Lord is about to get furious. The Lord is getting angry. When he's thinking like this, he forgets that along with the Lord also comes with his associates or his agents. So, as I said, Kali forgot the Lord always descends with his associates who remind him of his mission. So this was Lord Chaitanya Lord Chaitanya is also, Lord Nityananda is also known as Akaroda Paramananda. Krodha is anger, Akaroda is someone who doesn't get angry. So Lord Nityananda never gets angry, and he immediately held the feet of Lord Chaitanya and he said, "My dear Lord, please remember, your mission is not to use weapons in this age. Your mission is to use the weapon that destroys the demoniac tendencies in one's heart." So when he said this, and then he also mentioned how Jagai prevented Madai from throwing another piece of rock, Lord Chaitanya immediately gave his mercy to Jagai. And then eventually, as we know, Madai also begged forgiveness from Lord Nityananda and received the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, and they became Jagadananda and Madhavananda. And here again is another pastime, just like how we saw how Keshav Kashmiri's heart was transformed, Jagai and Madai's hearts were also transformed. So this is the mission of Lord Chaitanya. He transforms hearts. He doesn't use his weapons. So what is this mission or the special mercy of Lord Chaitanya? So as we know, in Bhagavad Gita, it is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita 4.8, the famous verse, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. In order to destroy the pious and annihilate the miscreants, the Lord appears millennium after millennium. Now, the Lord in other avatars appeared to destroy the demons, but in Kaliyuga, everyone has demoniac tendencies in the heart. So if the Lord has to destroy the demons, then he would have to destroy every single one. So in this particular depiction that I'm showing you here, you'll see Kali's mission. So Kali's mission is to promise pleasure through one of these anarthas, through lust, through anger, through greed, through envy, through pride. So that is Kali's mission. And because of that, we get overcome by it. We succumb to these anarthas. But Lord Chaitanya gives us the supreme pleasure of devotion, which is much, much higher, much greater than these petty pleasures which are promised through these anarthas. So through the chanting of the holy names, the Lord teaches us how to destroy the demoniac tendencies in our heart. And when one starts experiencing that higher pleasure, param drishtva nivartate, then the lower pleasures drift away. And this is the special mercy of Lord Chaitanya upon all of us. So let's proceed. So Krishna's mercy comes in three ways. Lord Chaitanya's mercy comes in three ways in this world. The first thing, as I mentioned, is Lord Chaitanya is not destroying the demoniac, but he's destroying the demoniac tendencies in our heart. The second thing is that the highest platform to love God is made easily accessible through the process of bhakti, through the chanting of the holy names. So Lord Chaitanya is establishing the Yuga Dharma. So through the chanting of the holy names, he's establishing that and is teaching us how to practice bhakti on this highest platform. And that is Lord Chaitanya's mercy. That's the second mercy, second way the mercy transforms. And the third way is the Lord gives us the highest love. He demonstrates the highest love that any devotee can have towards the Lord. He's showing us just 500 years ago the love that Radha Rani had for Krishna. So the highest joys of the spiritual world are given to us. What can be more merciful? What can be more divine in this age of Kali? So let's talk a little bit about Lord Chaitanya's descent and about his mood, the three internal reasons for Lord Chaitanya's descent. So I want to start talking with some examples. So let's take this example of the candle that you see here. So let's say we have a candle or even a lamp. So if you have the candle, which is kept in some earthen container, below it, if you notice carefully, there will be no light. Whereas all around it, there is light. The candle actually brings light everywhere except below it. So it is said that Krishna is the object of love, prema vishaya, and Radharani is the giver of love. She is known as prema ashraya. So because Krishna has all the attractiveness within him, he receives that love and Radharani transmits that love. But because he's like the lamp, within him, he's feeling that there is some incompleteness. And he feels that all the beauty, all the attractiveness is there within me, but I'm not able to experience it. There is something missing. So, just as the lamp is not able to experience its light fully, he feels that I can't experience that love. And I want to experience what is that love that Radharani experiences. And therefore, he decides to change his position and come from the position of the Lord to the position of the devotee. Not just any ordinary devotee, but the topmost devotee. So, the secret of Lord Chaitanya's descent is his intense longing or lobha, strong desire or greed. So, whether Krishna is separated from the gopis or even when Krishna is united with them, the gopis are mad in love for Krishna. And Krishna is observing that the gopis, they are experiencing so much ecstasy and so much joy. And Krishna is thinking, why am I not able to enjoy that? Why am I not able to experience that? And Krishna experiences the devotional relationship from the position of the Lord. Krishna is the receiver of devotion. As I mentioned, he is the prema vishaya, and the devotees are the reservoir of devotion, prema ashraya. So Krishna decides to take the position of the devotee so that he can experience the prema ashraya. So also there's another reason. So Krishna, as you see here, he's looking at the mirror and he's saying, I'm not able to experience the attractiveness that is within me. Why is everyone getting so attracted? And this is the second internal reason why the Lord chooses to descend in this world. I want to understand what is it within me that is so attractive that everybody's getting attached to me. Okay. And then, as we know, this famous verse, Radha bhava dyuti suvalitam naumi krsna-svarupam. Verse is actually describing Lord Chaitanya. So who is Lord Chaitanya? He is Krishna-svarupam. He is the form of Krishna. Krishna-svarupam is the form of Krishna. But in what form is he? He is in the form of Radha bhava. He has taken the bhava, the disposition, the emotion of Radharani. What does dyuti mean? Dyuti means complexion. Suvalitam means very attractive. So he is Krishna who has come with the emotion and the complexion of Radharani. Now, how did he get the complexion? When Krishna expressed his desire to Radharani, I want to experience what you're experiencing, Radharani. Therefore, I want to go to the earth and I want to dance in ecstasy. I will roll in ecstasy. At that time, Radharani said, Krishna, you will not be able to bear my ecstasy. She continued, actually, when you descend, your body will not be able to sustain the extraordinary ecstasy that will vibrate through it. But I will protect you. I will wrap you with my complexion. Normally, the fair complexion is considered extremely attractive, but Krishna's complexion for Radharani was supremely attractive. Krishna is Shama, he is dark complexion, but he's not just Shama, he is Shama Sundar. He is dark and he's irresistibly attractive. So let's again summarize the three internal reasons for Lord Chaitanya's appearance. The first one is to understand the sweetness, the greatness of Radharani's love. The second is to understand what is his greatness, what is Krishna's greatness, by which Radharani gets attracted to him. So, from the perspective of the topmost devotee. So, Krishna wants to understand that. And the third one is to experience the reciprocation. So when Krishna reciprocates, how does Radharani feel? So all of these three internal reasons were satisfied through the pastime of Ratha Yatra, which I will explain very briefly in the next 10 minutes. But before we go there, I want to explain these three reasons with a couple of examples. Now, let's take the example of a mango seed. So if there is originally a seed which has the potential to grow into a tree. So for example, let's say a mango seed has the potential to grow into a mango tree. Now, we need fertile soil in which the seed can be planted. When it is planted in fertile soil, after the seed blossoms into a beautiful mango tree, only then does it give out delicious mangoes. So, in the process of fructification, there is the seed, there is the soil, and finally there is the fruit. So, these are the three reasons or the three things that Krishna wants to experience about Radharani also. First is the seed. What is her love for Krishna? So he wants to understand her attraction for Krishna. And that is the seed. The second thing he wants to understand is what is it in me that is attracting her so much? He wants to understand this attractiveness from the perspective of a devotee, and that is like the soil. So sometimes there may be fertile soil, but if there is no seed, then nothing will fructify over it. So some people ask, it's a common question, Krishna is all attractive, but I don't feel attracted towards him. So why don't we feel attracted? Because right now, the seed of devotion or Bhakti Lata Beej is either very tender or it does not even exist in the first place. So when that seed of devotion is planted and as it slowly grows, then the attraction manifests. We have this famous verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Brahmanda Brahmite kon bhagyavan jeev, Guru Krishna prasade pai, Bhakti Lata Beej. So in this verse, Brahmande Brahmite, in this universe, there are so many souls wandering here and there, all over the world. And among them, there are very, very few fortunate souls. What is the fortune of that soul? We are all actually very fortunate. What is our fortune? By the mercy of Guru and Krishna, we have gotten that seed of devotion, that attractiveness which Radharani feels for Krishna. Of course, there is the attractiveness of Krishna, which actually is the cause of that attraction. And finally, the third reason, that love is not one-sided. Love is reciprocal. When Radharani sees that Krishna also loves her, then that ecstasy increases. And these are the three reasons that our dear Lord Chaitanya chose to manifest on this world. So let's take another example to understand the Lord's reciprocation. And this is the third reason. So I want to explain this a little bit more. So to understand the nature of the reciprocation, let's say a mother first gives birth to a child and she feels naturally attracted to her baby. And initially, when the baby is born, the baby may not even understand that. The baby may not understand that this is my mother. This mother loves me and she cares for me. But even without that, the mother showers love on her baby. But as the baby starts growing and the baby starts becoming aware, she starts thinking, oh, this lap is not just a comfortable, soft place, but this is a person, and this person loves me. And as the baby starts understanding this, the baby starts expressing the love for their mother. At that time, the mother sees the baby also love her back, and she feels great joy at that time. Similarly, Radharani has attraction for Krishna, and Krishna has supreme attractiveness. But when Radharani sees that Krishna also loves her, at that time she experiences his love for her, and that increases her ecstasy. And this is the love that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wants to experience. I want to give another example here. So now on our altar, there are some pujaris who are decorating Shri Radha Muralidhar and Gaurachandra. Now, they're decorating the deities very beautifully inside the altar. And while decorating, they're seeing the form from inside the altar. Now, if you observe a good pujari, like I've seen Vasudev Prabhu do this, so after he dresses the altar and when the darshan opens, he comes out of the altar and then he starts looking from different perspectives. How does the Lord look from here? How does the Lord look from here? And so on. So Krishna also, even though he can know himself from his perspective. He wants to know from the perspective of Radharani how that attractiveness appears externally. What is it in Krishna that attracts Radharani? So he wants to take her role. By taking her role, he wants to understand what is her sweetness, what is my attractiveness, what is it in me that attracts her so much. So very briefly, Lord Chaitanya's life, he lived for 48 years. The first 20 years, he was the scholar, like Nimai Pandit. For the 4 years, he manifested his devotion while being a resident of Navadvip. The next 6 years, he traveled all over South India and North India, sharing love of God. And for the last 18 years, he relished Krishna Prema in Jagannath Puri, during which his pastimes demonstrates all his internal reasons for his appearance. I'll just take a couple of minutes. So at the Ratha Yatra, so there are these three entities. There is Lord Jagannath, there is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and there is the devotees. So the devotees are seeing the Lord in the form of Lord Jagannath, and they're also seeing the Lord in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And there is also wonderful exchanges going between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the devotees, Lord Jagannath and the devotees. And there's also a wonderful reciprocal relationship going on between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Jagannath. So let's talk about Lord Chaitanya and Lord Jagannath. Then this describes the first reason of the first internal reason, how that manifested. So Lord Chaitanya has transcendental mood swings during the Ratha Yatra ceremony. So sometimes he's being a devotee, sometimes he's feeling like he's the Lord. And so how does Lord Chaitanya experience love of Radharani for Krishna? Lord Chaitanya is dancing in front of Lord Jagannath. In fact, it is said that Lord Chaitanya never pulled the rope. He is attracting Krishna back through his ecstatic dancing. Lord Chaitanya is exhibiting his love for Krishna through his dancing. Lord Chaitanya at that time, he's not in Puri, he's dancing with his beloved Lord Krishna. So this is how Lord Chaitanya experiences the love of Radharani at the peak, at the highest moment. So now let's understand the form of Lord Jagannath that Lord Chaitanya is seeing. So as we know, Rohini Devi, while speaking with the other queens of Krishna in Dwarka, she's explaining about the Lord's separation from the gopis. And Krishna was standing outside the door and he was hearing. He was hearing attentively and he was so attracted by the pastimes. He just wanted to hear completely and not get distracted at all. He didn't want any other consciousness. So even though his hands were moving a little bit, there was some consciousness in it. He wanted there to be zero consciousness. And so he started withdrawing his limbs. So he withdrew his arms, his legs, and so on, and his eyes became big. And that ecstatic moment is this form of Lord Jagannath. And that is the form that Lord Chaitanya is now seeing in Lord Jagannath. He's seeing Krishna in ecstasy. What is this ecstasy? Krishna is all attractive supreme person, and it is described that when Lord Jagannath is in ecstasy, thinking how much Radharani loves me, how much the gopis loves me, he goes into ecstasy. So the Lord Chaitanya is seeing, and this is what he's seeing, the attractiveness within Krishna. And this is the second reason of the descent of Lord Chaitanya. Jagannath smiles in reciprocation. And seeing that, Lord Chaitanya goes into ecstasy and he becomes captivated by Jagannath. And finally, Lord Jagannath also reciprocates in another way. he decides to stop moving. The Rath Yatra cart stops moving. No matter how many bodybuilders, animals, elephants tried, they could not move the cart even a little bit. At that time, Lord Jagannath just tapped on the Rath Yatra cart, and then the cart started moving. So this demonstrates how much Jagannath is pleased with Lord Chaitanya and how much he loves Lord Chaitanya. So everyone is seeing the majestic reciprocation of love that is happening between Lord Chaitanya and Jagannath. Jagannath is actually acknowledging the love of Lord Chaitanya, and Jagannath is proclaiming his love for him. Jagannath was not moving earlier, and now he started to move. So, just to briefly summarize, the three reasons are to understand the greatness and sweetness of Radharani's love, to understand what is the greatness within Krishna by which Radharani gets attracted to him, and to experience the reciprocation of the Lord. And the Rath Yatra fulfills all three internal reasons of Lord Chaitanya's manifestation in this world. I'll stop here. Thank you all so much. Hare Krishna. The Lord, the darshan is open.